Okay, here we are. Greetings, everyone. This is John Contreras from GreekNewsOnDemand.com. That is one word, GreekNewsOnDemand.com. We are a Greek American news source. We cover all things Greece, particularly with regards to the Greek economic crisis, which has been going on for about 7+ years now, and which has basically been at the forefront of international news since then. If you go into world economy and you type in, or if you go into Google and you type in world economy, you'll see, articles that have been published about Greece and its debt program, its bailout program, quote unquote, by the Troika. Articles that have been published, way back since 2009, leading up until today. So, what we're trying to do is get the news out about the truth about the Greek economic news crisis, how it really started, who's really behind it. We squashed the whole myth about the Greek people, of course, being quote-unquote responsible for it because they were quote-unquote lazy and quote-unquote, didn't pay their taxes, quote-unquote, and so on and so forth. All of that is a load of crock, and I demonstrate that too in my book, Hellenic Crisis by John Contreras, which I'll show you in a little bit on the screen. Hellenic Crisis by John Contreras. You can find that on Amazon's Kindle. You can also find it on Smashwords. It's only available in electronic format right now. Although I believe on Amazon it is now available in print form. So check it out there. So anyway, we as Greek Americans, or just as human beings, period, we care about the truth. We also care about, the fact that it was the Greek people who have offered everything to Western civilization. Language, culture, science, mathematics, everything, you name it, okay? Every European language out there is a subset of the Greek language. End of story. And it's, kind of ironic how Germany today, which is a satellite corporate state of the United States, of France, and of Great Britain, it was turned into a private corporation after World War II. It's this country, which of course is now on the verge of, and I think it already has, approved of pedophilia and I think bestiality in its parliament, right? It's this people, this country basically, that's controlling Greece today, okay? But if you know your history, it was the Greek Christian Byzantine Empire back in the 1200s that gave civilization, that civilized the German barbaric tribe back then, that gave them culture, that gave them language, that gave them everything. The Germans would be nothing today if it wasn't for the Greeks. Let's just put it that way. And now we see them today reverting back to their freaking pagan roots after being Christian for so many years. So, we deal with all these issues. That's why you have to read our blog. And you can see basically on the screen right now the name of our blog. In this broadcast, we're going to deal with basically Trump and the deep state, okay? A million things have been said about this issue going back to the beginning of the campaign up until now. But the reality is this. Trump's presidential run, as well as actual presidency, has been predicted and has been foretold by the media, by former presidents, and by Hollywood itself for 30 some odd years. Okay? If you Google Richard Nixon predicts Trump's candidacy, you'll see what I mean. Okay, 30 years ago, Richard Nixon told Donald Trump, if you run for president, you will become president. Okay, that was like 30 years ago. Okay. So anyway, besides all this, you also have the producer and co-writer of the Back to the Future series. I think Bob Gale is his name. Who in October of 2015 gave an interview to the Daily Beast, I believe it was, the Daily Beast, and he basically said that in Back to the Future, the character of Biff Tannen was none other than Donald Trump. But also, in particular, with regards to Back to the Future Part 2, okay, the character Biff Tannen turns into this politician / billionaire. And Bob Gale goes on to say that Biff Tannen is none other than Donald Trump. You're talking about the actual producer and writer of Back to the Future saying this, okay? So what happens to Biff Tannen in Back to the Future Part 2? His character gets killed off, which is very interesting, particularly in lieu of the fact that, since the campaign up until even now today, okay, Donald Trump has basically received death threats, quote unquote, from, many different people, from crazy people on the stage in his rallies to, liberals in New York Park making a play about him, about, his death, likening him to, of course, Caesar, who gets killed by Cicero. And the Cicero, in this case, is one of Trump's, top staff members and so on and so forth. Anyway, it's all pretty ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen, because the fact of the matter is, Trump is not getting harassed by the deep state. Trump is the deep state. Did you not see who he just replaced Reince Priebus with? And by the way, Reince Priebus has Greek roots. Reince Priebus had a lot in mind to help Greece, and all of a sudden Trump gets rid of him. But we don't stop there, because this other gentleman, I'm trying to remember his first name, Gidzikas, another Greek American, was also in another key position in Trump's government. Now he's gone. And I think what they said is just going to go back to just like event planning for Trump or something like that. But he's been removed from a key position in Trump's White House. Okay? And that happened literally a few days after Reince Priebus getting fired, basically. And I know the media is saying how, oh no, he quit or this and that. That's garbage. Okay. So basically, what this video is about is basically analyzing all that Obama basically had done with the deep state, preparative to harass people that basically have alternative points of view, particularly those who have blogs on the internet, and of course who deal with alternative news and so on and so forth. Okay, so there's a rumor going around now on the internet that the deep web basically has a document where it shows this agreement between Obama, the CIA, NSA, basically the deep state, where he's signing off on some type of an executive order saying, yeah, you guys can clamp down on fake news, quote unquote, fake news in quotes. And you can start, harassing and bullying people on the internet. But don't do it under my watch. Let it take place under the watch of the next U.S. president. Okay? So, besides all that, all you have to do is just look at what's taking place now. The CIA, the NSA, the deep state in general, the continuity of government as we all remember it back during the Iran-Contra hearings, or the shadow government, as mainstream news and alternative news have put it in recent months, actually from November last year up until today. Okay, I'm talking about WikiLeaks leaking documents basically about, John Podesta and other Hillary campaign aides talking in like internal Hillary campaign memos back like it was like 2013 about the fact that there's something called the shadow government that pulls the strings, okay, of power in Washington, and they're above, of course, the president and Congress. Okay, that's not me saying that. So basically, what we're trying to figure out here and what we're analyzing is the fact that Trump is doing absolutely nothing to clamp down on the deep state, let's say. As a matter of fact, he's in bed with it. As a matter of fact, he has no problem with internet censorship. He has no problem with assassinating, or rather murdering, Edward Snowden and so on and so forth. Okay? He continues this whole parody about fake news, quote unquote. And remember, fake news was created, ladies and gentlemen, back in November of last year, whereupon the truth about the scandal Pizzagate was basically leaked to the whole public. Okay? Through WikiLeaks, but not just through WikiLeaks, through other big, news sources. Okay? Through the alternative news media and so on and so forth. Okay? So basically, this news gets out, the government, Obama's government, starts shitting its pants. So they tell the media, start labeling all those who have alternative points of view as fake news. Trump, my point is, Trump is continuing this whole garbage, all right? He hasn't stopped this whole garbage. Who started? The Clintons and the deep state back then. It was like November last year, okay? Not only that, it was Trump himself it is Trump himself who has never once dealt with Pizzagate, okay? And there's a plethora of evidence that the whole pedophile scandal, Pizzagate, is real. So, this has been reported on since November of last year, and all this stuff has come to light, and you have a plethora of evidence to arrest these psychopaths that are involved with it and to throw them all in jail, including Hillary Clinton and John Podesta, end of story. And I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get into the fact that Trump did nothing about it. Not only that, you also realize, too, that he actually fired Michael Flynn's son last year. Okay? He fired Michael Flynn's son. It was like middle of November last year because Michael Flynn's son, who was at that point part of Trump's transition team, had the audacity to tweet about Pizzagate, right? And we all thought that Trump would do something about it, which he never did. He shut the whole thing down. That's because Trump is involved in Pizzagate. Okay? So, I don't understand these people who believe this garbage about Trump being a patriot, wanted to make America great again. I mean, the whole phrase, make America great again, you know who invented that? His best friend, Bill Clinton. So don't give me this BS. So anyway, besides all that, has Trump followed up on his promises to put the Clintons in jail? No. We're talking about people, ladies and gentlemen, that head the deep state, okay? Recently, I had a good conversation with Larry Nichols, the guy who leaked the information about the Clinton and Monica Lewinsky scandal. He helped me and some of my colleagues write a huge front-page article for a Greek newspaper that I write for in Greece, right? About this issue and about other issues related to Greece's national interests. Okay, so Larry Nichols, who's an expert on the Clintons, told me personally that, yeah, they're still very powerful in Washington, and they're still part of the deep state. I mean, you can't find a better source than Larry Nichols, ladies and gentlemen. So, but we have to get rid of this whole fake narrative in our minds that, there's a right and the left, and the Democrats are against the Republicans, and the deep state is against Trump, and then the Clintons hate Trump. That's all garbage. I mean, Trump's in power, 7 months? Has he put the Clintons in jail? No. Is he going to? No. So stop BSing. Let's stop BSing ourselves. So anyway, real quick, I want to go over a few articles, then I'm going to play you a clip of a small interview that basically I got from a friend of mine, okay, that I did, all right? So, Google, YouTube, waging demonization war on alternative media to bankrupt independent journalism. This is from naturalnews.com. Independent media pioneer, SGTreport.com, is now the latest victim of the Google YouTube demonization censorship attack that's explicitly targeting alternative media. The YouTube is changing the rules of the game. It's no longer a level playing field. Not only are they flagging more and more videos as not advertised friendly, quote unquote, for the past few days, they have turned off all of the advertising on my videos, writes SGT Report. They want to kill my channel and they want me to go away. I need your help. Okay, SGT Report, along with many other independent media outlets, is now asking for Patreon donations and so on and so forth. Okay? So, we all know, too, that Natural News has been targeted as well. By the way, you can find me on Twitter. Here I am, John Contreras. Okay, find me on Twitter. Find me also on Facebook. Here I am right here, John Contreras. A lot of my posts are in Greek, but I also publish in English too, so don't worry. Also, too, if you'd like to check out my website, we are GreekNewsOnDemand.com. That's one word, GreekNewsOnDemand.com. We have 2 English sections, English Articles 1, English Articles 2. Just click that link. Also, please search in the bar for articles that we publish in English. click in key search terms like Trump, for example, and you'll find all these articles basically that, we've published about him, okay? Like, Trump campaign chair charged with pedophilia and sex trafficking, okay? Like, classified exclusive Trump-Lavrov briefing leak from Russia. I mean, this is very key information from veteranstoday.com, which talks about that Trump, Turkey, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth are all in cahoots because they're still continuing to support ISIS. Okay? So you can't make this stuff up. This is not only grounded in good intelligence, it also makes common sense, ladies and gentlemen. Because the people that are behind ISIS remain the allies of the United States, namely Israel, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and so on and so forth. Okay? It's just that plain and simple. Alright? So anyway, let's go to this article. Google, this was, by the way, published in January of this year, when Trump was already in office. I mean, this stuff is happening while Trump is in office, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Has Trump gone on to the media? Okay? Let me show you an image of this. Sorry. Okay, so the previous article I was showing you, Google employees, not this one, hold on. Google, YouTube waging demonization war on alternative media to banker independent journalism. Okay, here it is right here. That was the one I just read to you. Let's go to this one really quick, zerohedge.com. Google permanently bans 200 fake news sites, okay? Now, bearing in mind, this is all happening under Trump's watch, okay? Now, if Trump was really a patriot, wouldn't he tell them something? Has he told them something? No, he hasn't, okay? The crackdown has begun. In a blog post by Scott Spencer, Director of Product Management for Sustainable Ads, posted on Wednesday, Google said it has banned 200 publishers from accessing its AdSense advertising service for posting fake news stories. Google said it had cracked down on sites which contained ads for illegal products, misleading ads, and all this BS, okay? So this is all BS, okay? They're just trying to find an excuse to crack down on people, all right? Now, this is an article that was published last year, June 22nd last year, okay? The new censorship, how to do Google become the internet censor and master manipulator, blocking access to millions of websites, okay? This is from usnews.com. Google Inc. isn't just the world's biggest purveyor of information, it's also the world's biggest censor, okay? The company maintains at least 9 different blacklists that impact our lives, generally without input or authority from any outside advisory group, industry association, or government agency. Google is not the only company suppressing content on the internet. Reddit has frequently been accused of banning postings on specific topics, and a recent report suggests that Facebook has been deleting conservative news stories from its newsfeed, a practice that might have a significant effect on public opinion, even on voting. Google, though, is currently the biggest bully on Facebook. Interesting. When Google's employees or algorithms decide to block our access to information about a news item, political candidate or business opinions and votes can shift. Okay, this is very key. Can shift reputations. Okay, opinions and votes can shift. Reputations can be ruined, and businesses can crash and burn. Because online censorship is entirely unregulated at the moment, victims have little or no recourse when they have been harmed. Eventually, authorities will almost certainly have to step in, just as they did when credit bureaus were regulated in the 70s. The alternative would be to allow a large corporation to wield an especially destructive kind of power that should be exercised with great restraint and should belong only to the public. The power to shame or exclude. Okay, if Google were just another mom and pop shop with a sign saying we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone, that would be one thing. But as the golden gateway to all knowledge, Google has rapidly become an essential in people's lives, nearly as essential as air or water. We don't let public utilities make arbitrary and secretive decisions about denying people services. We shouldn't let Google do so either. Okay? So this is what Google does in a nutshell. And what I'm going to do here is just quickly go over some of this stuff. Okay, let me see here. Okay. Okay, so here's what we have here. The autocomplete blacklist. This is a list of words and phrases that are excluded from the autocomplete feature in Google's search bar. Okay? The search bar instantly suggests multiple search options when you type words such as democracy or watermelon, but it freezes when you type profanities, and at times it has frozen when people type words like torrent, bisexual, and penis. Yes, you heard that correctly. And as he's writing this article, he says, Google froze when I typed in the word clitoris. The autocomplete blacklist can also be used to protect or discredit political candidates. As recently reported, at the moment, autocomplete shows you TED, T-E-D, quote-unquote, for former GOP presidential candidate Ted Cruz, when you type lying, quote-unquote, but it will not show you Hillary when you type in words like crooked. Not even on my computer anyway, and so on and so forth. So what he's saying is that basically when you try to type in words like Hillary's a criminal or Hillary's crooked, right, as you can see on the screen, right, it stops. It doesn't allow you to type all that in because they're showing her preferential treatment for obvious reasons. She's the deep state, okay? It talks about the Google Maps blacklist. This list is a little more creepy, and if you are concerned about your privacy, it might be a good list to be on. The cameras of Google Earth and Google Maps have photographed your home for all to see. If you don't like that, just move. Google's former CEO, Eric Schmidt, said Google also maintains a list of properties it either blacks out or blurs out in its images. Some are probably military installations, some the residences of wealthy people, and some, well, who knows, okay? Martian invasions, perhaps, Google doesn't say. La la la, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's another key article here. Let's check this out really quick. There's a lot of good articles there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this interview I did with a friend of mine where he helps us make sense of this whole situation. Okay? All right, so Google employees' anti-diversity manifesto goes internally viral. This is from motherboard.vice.com. Okay, so anyway, at least 8 Google employees tweeted Friday about a document that was circulated within the company calling for replacing Google's diversity initiatives with policies that encourage, quote, ideological diversity, end quote, instead. The document, which is the personal opinion of one senior software engineer, was shared on a company mailing list but has since gone, quote-unquote, internally viral, according to a Google employee who spoke with Motherboard. Okay? So this is the employee, Amy. Today's rage read at work. Doc essentially saying that women are unsuited for tech because they like people whilst men like things. Okay, that's just whatever. Motherboard has not viewed the full document, but a screenshot we reviewed shows it's titled Google's Ideological Echo Chamber. Descriptions of its content were tweeted publicly by Google employees, and it was described in detail to me by a Google employee who requested anonymity because of the company's notoriously strict confidentiality agreement. The person who wrote the document argued that the representation gap between men and women in software engineering persists because of biological differences between the two sexes, according to public tweets from Google employees. It also said Google should not offer programs for underrepresented racial or gender minorities, according to one of the employees I spoke to. Okay, and so on and so forth, which is just a bunch of mumbo jumbo, and it just sounds really, really stupid. So basically, it goes on to talk about, too, the document's author also wrote the employees with conservative political beliefs are discriminated against at Google and lamented about how, quote-unquote, leftist ideology is harmful. They argue that the company should have a more, quote-unquote, open culture where their viewpoint would be welcome. The document said that improving racial and gender diversity is less important than making sure conservatives feel comfortable expressing themselves at work. While the vast majority of Google employees did not support the document's arguments, some did, according to Dogan, who works on the company's Go programming language. The document's author was emboldened by some of the positive responses he got, and so on and so forth. Okay. Anyway, we all know, though, that Google is on an anti-conservative, anti-Christian trip regardless. Okay, besides all this. All right? So basically, this whole broadcast is just basically highlight this. They target people who are Christians, they target people who are anti-New World Order, and so on and so forth. They're all full of shit. So anyway, what I want to show you is this interview real quick, and then we'll end this broadcast. So, please check out our website, GreekNewsOnDemand.com, okay, for all of our articles, and go to our English section.